So 1.1 deals with evaluating expressions. So an algebraic expression kind of looks like this. It's going to be something with terms, it'll have a variable in it, it could have a coefficient, and it'll have some type of operation. So here the number in front of our variable is our coefficient, so that's being multiplied, so we know that these two numbers are being multiplied together. Our variable, it can be an n, it could be an x, it can be a y, it's going to be something that changes in our equation. Our operation could be a plus sign, a minus, multiplication, division, or an exponent, and then our constant is just going to be a number that doesn't have a variable attached to it. So this is kind of just basic vocab. In this section, the order of operations is very important. You can evaluate an algebraic expression by replacing each variable with a number and then applying the order of operations. So our order of operations is PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally is how I remember it, but I know you guys probably have different things about how you remember it, but the important thing is that in an equation, you start with the parentheses. So if you have parentheses, you're going to start with that. You solve what's inside the parentheses. Next, you solve any exponents that you have. So exponents would be this little cubed up here, so we have 2 to the 3rd power. Next, for multiplication and division, these two go together, so multiplication and division, you just go left to right. And then addition and subtraction, these two go together, so you'll just go left to right for any addition or subtraction. Any questions so far? Okay, example 1. Evaluate m plus p minus 1 squared if m is equal to 3 and p is equal to -4. So the first thing we're going to do here is take our numbers that we have for our variables and plug them into our equation. So we're going to plug in 3 in for m, and we're going to plug in -4 for p. So our new equation is going to be 3 plus -4 minus 1 squared. Now what's going to be the first thing that we do here? The parentheses. So we can just rewrite our 3 plus, and then we're going to do what is in the parentheses. So we have -4 minus 1, which is -5, squared. What do we do next? Exponent. So this is -5 times -5. What's -5 times -5? 25. And then next we just do 3 plus 25, which is?
28.
28, awesome. All right, example 2. We're doing the same thing. So we take -2, plug it in for A. We take 3, plug it in for B, and we'll take 4 and plug it in for C. So we have -2 minus 2 times 3 plus 3 times 4. And I just put the numbers that we plug in parentheses just so we can see that it's 2 times 3 and not 23. So what do we do first here?
Multiply.
Multiply what?
2 times 3 and 3 times 4.
Perfect. We're going to multiply 2 times 3 and 3 times 4. So we have -2 minus 2 times 3 is 6 plus 3 times 4 is 12. What do we do next? subtract. So we have negative 2 minus 6, which is negative 8. So negative 8 plus 12, and now we're just left with addition. And negative 8 plus 12 is
4.
4. Awesome. Pretty simple. Any questions? Well, this is pretty much all we're going to do for 1.1, but the types of equations might look a little harder than this. So let's look at example 3. Again, we plug everything in. So we have 2 times negative 2 plus 3 plus 3 squared. What do we do first?
Multiply.
Multiply what?
2 times negative 2.
Before we do that, what's our first order of operation? Parentheses. So we have 2 times negative 2, and then 3 plus 3 is 6. What do we do next? Exponent. What's 6 squared?
36.
36. So we have 2 times negative 2, which is negative 4, plus 36. What's our final answer?
32.
32. Ready for the next slide? All right, example 4. We're doing the same thing. So what do we do first here? What?
Plug it in.
Plug it in. So we're going to plug in 5 for all the A's that we see. And then we plug in negative 3 for all the B's. So we have 5 plus negative 3 squared times negative 3 minus 5. Now what are we going to do first?
Parentheses.
Parentheses. So what's negative 3 minus 5?
Negative 8.
Negative 8. What do we do next?
Exponent.
Exponent. What's negative 3 times negative 3?
9.
9. What do we do next?
You multiply.
Multiply. What do we get when we multiply 9 times negative 8?
Negative 72.
Negative 72. So now we have 5 minus 72. So what's our final answer?
67.
Negative 67. Any questions on this one? All right, last example. What's the first thing we need to do?
Plug it in.
Plug it in. So we're going to plug in negative 3 for x minus 3 times we plug in 4 for W, and negative 5 for Y. So again, we plug in negative 5 for Y, plus 2 times 4. When we have a fraction, this is like a big division sign, so we have the top divided by the bottom. So we pretend that we have parentheses around the top and parentheses around the bottom. So what's the first thing we need to do here?
Exponent.
Exponents, but which exponent?
The top.
The top. So we're going to do everything in our parentheses here on top first. So we're just going to do the top. So we start with our exponent. So I'm going to do it up top here. So we have negative 3 to the 4th power, which is like saying negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. So now we just have 9 times 9, which is
81.
81. So negative 3 to the 4th power is 81. So we have 81 minus 3 times 4 times negative 5 on top. So I'm just doing what's on top first. What do I do next?
4 times negative 5.
4 times negative 5, or I could do 3 times 4. I'm multiplying all 3 of these together, and it doesn't matter what order I multiply them in. So I have 81 minus, I'm just going to do 3 times 4, and that's 12, and then 12 times negative 5 is negative 60. Again, it doesn't matter what order you multiply these two in, or these 3 in. You could multiply 4 times negative 5 first and get negative 20, and then negative 20 times 3 would be negative 60. So here we have a minus negative 60. What do you have when you minus a negative? When you subtract a negative number? It turns to a positive. So when you subtract a negative number, it just becomes a positive, a plus sign. So now we have 81 plus 60, which is 141. All right, now that we have an answer for the top, we need to go back and do the bottom. What's the first thing we're going to do on the bottom? Exponent. So we have negative 5 to the 3rd power, which is negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. Negative 5 times negative 5 is what? Positive 25. And then we have positive 25 times 5, which is 125, negative 125. So negative 5 to the 3rd power is negative 125. And then we still have that plus 2 times 4. What's the next thing we're going to do?
Times 2 times 4.
2 times 4. So we have negative 125 plus 2 times 4, which is 8. And then lastly, we have negative 125 plus 8, which is
Negative 117.
negative 117. So our final answer here is negative 141 over 117.
Wait, why is it a negative 117?
It is negative 117, but I just moved the negative out front because it's the same thing. So if, let's say I had negative 1 over 2. This is the same thing as saying 1 over negative 2, which is the same thing as saying negative 1 over 2.
Okay, thank you.
So as long as you just have like one negative sign there, it doesn't matter. I just like to put it out in front just so I know that the whole fraction's negative. Any questions?